All right, everyone. Sorry for the slight delay, but nonetheless, Harsh has arrived. So, how many of you are excited for today's third live streaming session? If you are, do let me know in the comment section below. How many of you are ready to learn and gain more value when it comes to education? Because we have been stressing a lot when it comes to the content that is based on education. Because, yes, when the market is up and running, we would be making sure to provide you with money making strategies, but when the market closes, right? That is when we focus our attention to education because we want our valued customers and clients to earn as well as learn. So, everyone, I hope everyone is having a great evening. Yes, the weekend is just around the corner, and I'm sure everyone has. Already being prepared for the weekend, but you have to understand when certain content, especially when it pertains to education, is being provided, it is in your best interest that you be a part of these live streaming sessions so that you can be making good amount of money, but from an intellectual point of view, right? So let me start the third live streaming session officially by giving a quick introduction about myself. My name is Harsh. I have 8 years of trading experience in the markets. I have been trading the forex markets, the commodity markets like oil, gold, silver, as well as the US based industry markets such as the S&P 500, the Dow Jones 30, as well as the Nasdaq 100. I am a technical trader specializing in technical analysis, correct? Such as price action, supply and demand, order flow analysis, swing analysis, wave analysis, as well as Fibonacci retracement analysis. Now, when it comes to the field of technical analysis, I'm pretty sure all of you are very well aware of the vast amount of knowledge that is existing when it comes to the category of technical analysis, but the categories that I've mentioned or the specializations that I've mentioned previously will be my major point of focus. All right, so I have also been successful in handling $25 million worth of portfolio and on top of that, I've also been successful in generating 30 to 35% of profitability on an annual basis. So, the reason for me to share all this information about me to our community members is so that you all can be rest assured that the information that Harsh is providing to all of you is coming from someone who has the knowledge, who has the experience as well as the expertise when it comes to the financial markets. How many of you are understanding and are eager and happy and excited for today's course number live session number 3? If you are, I would love to have your answers in the comment section below. And please excuse me if I'm coughing because I have not been keeping well. But when it comes to providing content and adding value to our live stream sessions for our beloved viewers and community members, I will make sure to push and provide you with all the necessary information. So, are all of you excited and eager for today's session? If yes, I would love to know your responses. I would love to know your reactions in the comment section below. So, any one of you, if you have any doubts, if you have any queries, you can always be sure to let me know in the comment section and I will try my best in terms of resolving it. For those of you who like taking notes, please make sure that you're sitting with a pen and paper so that all the information that I'm sharing to you can be written down if you want to. And those of you who are watching on your laptops or mobile phones, make sure to take the screenshot so that it can be useful for you if you have any doubts or questions or for learning purposes as well. Does that sound good? All right, so let's start with our course number 6. Remember, since the last couple of days in this week, we have been stressing a lot on educational content, right? When it comes to providing content, I'm sure all of you have been bombarded by a lot of information, whether it's in terms of technical analysis, fundamental analysis, trying to read chart patterns. But think about it, everyone is already more or less aware about all these terminologies, correct? If people were learning concepts based on price structure or indicator based strategies, wouldn't people be making money? Whoever is using all these tools and resources, I'm sure 90% of you would be using these tools for your reference, correct, when it comes to the stock market or to any other financial market. But think about it, if everyone has been using the resources, why isn't everyone making money? So that is where Harsh from Dolphin Markets comes to your rescue, because I want to provide you with valuable information that very few people are thinking about, right? I mean, all of you are more or less are aware of technicals, fundamentals, but how many of you are aware of trading logic? Whether it be the psychological aspects, whether it be the technical aspects. So there are so many things that are left uncovered by majority of the people that they should be paying attention to. So we are going to be talking about course number 6, and today we would be delving into sorry, today we would be delving into the categories of mergers and acquisitions. All right, mergers and acquisitions, and how their impact is on the listed companies on the stock market. So, for those of you who are eager and excited for the upcoming content, let me know your reactions in the comment section below. All right, make sure we have as much of interaction as possible, because these sessions are mainly provided for us to understand our clients, at the same time providing with content. We have been providing you with high value content, whether it's based on market analysis, hot stock recommendations, or education. So make sure that you're being a part of Dolphin Markets, and make sure that you are subscribing to Harsh's live stream channels. So let us start with today's course, and it's very important and very, very, very vital that you pay attention to this session, because this can make you profitable and can provide you with information that very few people are being provided with. So, all of you who are in this session, I'm very happy that you're taking part, and let's move forward. So, let me ask you with today's first question: what is the relationship between mergers and acquisitions and the listed company? So, what is the relationship between M&A, which is mergers and acquisition, and the listed companies? If you have answers, I would love to know them in the comment section below. All right, so what is the relationship? Today, we would be focusing on mergers and acquisitions and how they can impact the movement of stock prices of listed companies. So, anyone who would want to answer, what is the relationship between mergers and acquisitions and listed companies? So, people are writing, yes, we know what is mergers, okay, mergers, acquisition. So many people are writing and have thoughts about it. But before giving you the answer, let us move to the follow up question for this. Do you think the general managers or the deputy general managers of the listed companies, are they aware, or do they know what the mergers and acquisitions might be capable of? Can you let me know the answer for this in the chat box? If you have the answer, let me know it as well. Rocky is in the house. Hello, Rocky. Good evening. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And yes, I'm sure you are waiting exuberantly for the weekend, but do not worry. I'm very happy that you're here. And like always, it's always a pleasure to have you on board during our live stream sessions. So Rocky is saying, yes, I want to answer. I don't. So, I mean, I'm sure you're writing, I don't know, correct? So, whether it is the general managers or the deputy general managers who are aware of the M&A. So, I'm pretty sure people are not aware, or some might be aware. But if you want to know the answer in terms of whether the general managers and the deputy general managers of the listed companies know about M&A. They do not, all right? They do not have any clue about mergers and acquisition. Their work is dependent on the operational of the company, correct? I'm sure you agree with me. When the managers or deputy managers who run the company, their main responsibility is to make sure that the company is functioning smoothly. Now, whether it is about the internal intricacies of the functionality of the company, they might not be aware. So, how many of you think that the mergers, the deputy managers, and the general managers were responsible for knowing about M&As? That is not the answer. So they do not know. So since they are only focused on the operational content of the operational functionality of the company, then who is aware of the mergers and acquisitions? Like who is responsible for these mergers and acquisitions on of the listed companies? Anyone who can let me know the answer for this particular question? What do you feel? What do you think could be who would be responsible for mergers and acquisitions? So people are writing investors, traders, institutions. All right, we are getting good amount of answers. All right, that is good. I'm very happy that people are reciprocating, and that is a good sign that people are learning, are willing to learn and acquire knowledge. So to everyone, that is good job. So who is responsible for mergers and acquisition? It is going to be the major shareholders. Do any one of you know what is a major shareholder? If you know, let me know in the comment section below. So let me make sure that people are understanding. I'm very happy that people are reciprocating, but you have to understand when certain important points are to be noted. I want to let everyone know it in the chat box as well, right? So it is going to be the major shareholders who are going to be responsible for the mergers and acquisition. It is not the managers nor the deputy managers, but the overall major shareholders. Major shareholders are those people who run the company, maybe the board of directors, maybe the institutions. There are many, and we will be discussing more in detail as and how we progress during the live stream session. Does everyone understand? All right, so moving forward, so if you want to know whether the listed company will undergo mergers and acquisition, you should ask its major shareholders. I mean, how many of you think it is easy to just go and ask the major shareholders, right? Doesn't it feel common sense to be like, okay, because the major shareholders will be aware of the possibility of mergers and acquisitions in the future, shouldn't we just go ask them and see what they will be answering, right? How many people think it is possible? Don't you think it is common sense just to go and ask people, all right, let me just check with the major shareholder holders and get the information, all right? So even a listed company will be having a department which is called as the securities and the ones that are responsible for implementing and producing the shares of a particular company that are listed, right? We are talking about listed companies. So every listed company will be having a corresponding securities department, and shareholders would love to call the securities department to inquire about undisclosed internal information, right? Everyone, I'm sure, at one point in time would be thinking that can I just call the major shareholder of a company that you have invested in and ask them what is the probability of the company undergoing or acquiring based on mergers and acquisitions, right? People think it is common sense, right? But do you think it is possible for you to get anything out of them? Whether it is information or whether some people would be calling it as insider trading, correct? How many of you are aware of the term insider trading? I'm sure people will be saying, yes, we have heard about insider trading where people provide internal information to the public, but these acts are, illegal or against the law, and it will be only detrimental to the company. So it might be a thing of the past where people used to share internal information, but as and how there is more information that is being provided to people and more awareness amongst the people and the economy, there is no way, I'm sure. So for those of you who are asking, who would want to answer if it is possible for you to gain or get any kind of information from the major shareholders, what would your answer be? Let me know in the chat box below. So I'm sure people will be saying no for sure, right? Yes, there is no way that you can get any kind of information from the major shareholders, right? It is as good or as next to impossible, right, for getting any kind of information based on the shareholders. You're better not spending that time inquiring with the major shareholders of the listed company, because they would be not interested in providing you information. If they would be providing that information to everyone or to the public, first and foremost, it would be unlawful, and secondly, the markets would not be functioning the way they do, right? I hope people are starting to have a good idea, a good perception about why it is important to talk about those concepts that are not discussed publicly, right? Most of the people, whether it be other brokers or other companies, their main focus is on providing content that is easily available. Everyone knows more or less about support resistance, about trend lines, about supply demand, about price action. But how many of you are aware of trading logic or such concepts that we are discussing today based on mergers and acquisitions? We often overlook, right? Because we have a habit of following the herd, and following the herd most of the time is actually the wrong way, right? So if you have been following certain actions in the past and those actions have not led for your account to grow in terms of consistent profits, you have to start thinking that there is something wrong that we are doing, right, as in you, that needs to be changed. And that is why you need to keep attending the live stream sessions so that we can provide you with the guidelines, with the references of how to make money and how to gain intellectual knowledge at the same time. So you're better not spending the time by calling or by trying to contact the major shareholders, because they will not be interested at all in terms of serving you. How many people are understanding? Remember, the information of the public listed companies by the major shareholders will not be disclosed at any cost, right? So many people are sorry, many people are investing in stocks by looking at the situation of listed companies, whether from the point of view of leaders, from the point of view of the actual controllers, or from the point of view of major shareholders. Everyone is trying to get some kind of information that they think can get them some amount of vital information that can make them rich. All right, how many of you have had the similar thought process of this particular action? If yes, let me know in the comment section below. All right, so the growth of a company will be basically listed, or sorry, determined by two factors. All right, as you can see, it's mentioned on your screen: internal growth and external growth. So what is internal growth? Internal growth is basically that is driven by internal management team, right? Whether it is certain protocols that have to be implemented or certain decisions that have to be taken in terms of the growth of the company, or certain internal management shuffling that could be taking place based on the performance of certain departments. So there are many internal issues, internal challenges that people keep working on, internal, uh, from which there can be a change in the internal growth. But what about the external growth? So the external growth of a company is mainly pertaining to mergers and acquisitions, right? We will be understanding more in detail in the coming slides as well. So think about this: When many listed companies undergo mergers and acquisition, don't their stock prices sometimes sharply rise, or even sometimes they go into multiples of the value that they had initially started with? How many of you are aware of this? If you go back to the time where I still remember when Maruti and Suzuki had merged together, right? Remember, Maruti was a separate company, was a separate Indian company, and Suzuki was a separate Japanese company. But in order to set up a company in India with vested interest, right, combined interest to gain market share in the automobile uh, demographic sector, they merged. So that is what a merger and acquisition is. And I vaguely remember that the price when the stock got listed based on the news that there is a merger taking place between Maruti and Suzuki, the prices had shot up tremendously, right? So you need to be aware. There are many ways when you can be making money in the financial markets, correct? Now, whether that is through trading, whether intraday or swing or long-term trading or investing, but there are other ways that which can help you in identifying the right setups that can make your accounts grow, right? Sometimes the stock prices rise sharply, sometimes they even multiply, right? It might start at 100. The moment the news is out that a merger is taking place or a company is acquiring another company, the stock prices can rally significantly. I've seen stock prices which have been trading at 100, and the moment a merger or an acquisition report or information is being let out, the company has grown from 100 rupees per share to 500 rupees per share as well. All right. Have you seen these instances taking place in the market? If you have seen it, let me know in the comment section below. So the only way to achieve compound growth when it comes to stock trading, compound growth, all right, is based on mergers and acquisition. So I hope from now on everyone should be thinking about in terms of how to make money and not how to lose money. How many of you will start thinking correctly in terms of how to make money? Why I want all our viewers, all our community members to start having the positive mindset approach and understand that yes, it is very much possible to get a good amount of profits in terms of making money in the stock market, right? So we should be focusing on the money making aspect, right? And not on the losing aspect. How many of you want to make money in the stock market? If yes, let me know your answers in the comment section below. So good. Everyone is saying yes. We want to make good amount of money in the stock market, and that is why Harsh is here, right? Like I said to all my viewers and my clients and my community members, when Harsh is here, there is nothing to fear. So moving on, we are going to be talking about how we would be discussing its implementation, right? How we can utilize the power of mergers and acquisitions, or the concept of mergers and acquisitions, and how we can start to implement it. So let's get to the implementation aspect, and that is going to be based on the first point, which is stock selection. How many of you understand what is stock selection? All right, if you know the answer, please let me know in the comment section below. So many people are aware that when it comes to finding opportunities, it always boils down to stock selection. You need to be aware of which stocks to select, how to select, so on and so forth. But many people think stock selection is random and arbitrary, but it's not. How many people had initially thought that stock selection is just a matter of selecting? How many people thought that stock selection is just about selecting a random stock and putting in your money based on luck, that luck will make me money in the stock market? How many of you had this ideology before attending my live stream session? So I'm pretty sure many of you might be having this assumption that yes, stock selection is selecting a random stock, selecting an arbitrary stock, and hoping for it to make money. But it is not. Remember, that kind of approach is called as gambling. We are into trading and we are not into gambling. So I hope everyone is clear with that. So stock selection is not at all random and not at all arbitrary. How many of you are understanding what I'm saying? If yes, please let me know your comments in the chat box below. So now we are going to be discussing the two major factors that will be determining significant stock price increases. Whenever there is a potential for a stock price to increase, they are generally controlled by two factors, right? First one is the policy support, right? In terms of either government interventions or internal management uh, shufflings or improvisations that can take place that can improve the company, right? Or certain discussions between the major shareholders. So there are many points when it comes to policy support, right? And second, but most importantly, mergers and acquisitions. All right. So how we can't control the market surge, right? I'm sure everyone is aware that we as retail investors, those who have funds between a couple of thousand rupees to 30 crores, are segmented as retail investors or retail traders. So we being in the retail investor, retail trader segment, we do not have the power to move the markets, right? So we cannot control the surge in the markets, but the large investors, whether it be the main fund, the institutions or the major shareholders, they have the power to move the market, right? They have the ability to influence it. I hope you're now being able to think from a broader perspective. We used to think that we are in control of the market, and just because we take a decision for a particular trade that it should go, because we expect, because we entered the market has to go in our favor, and that is not at all the case, right? We are just retail traders or investors, and we do not have the funds, the liquidity, and the employees that can trade on our behalf with large liquidity, large volumes, large capital investments, and it is only possible by the ones that I've mentioned on the screen: the main funds, the institutions, as well as the major shareholders. I hope people are understanding, or I hope people are having a better context in terms of, all right, we are learning something new and this has not been disclosed before, right? How many of you feel that you are being provided with vital information, with information that is not new to most of you? If yes, sorry, information that is new to most of you. So if yes, let me know in the comment section below. So for those of you who have understood that it is not the retail investors but the main the major shareholders or the institutions or the large investors, so if they know what will be the probability of the markets to enact in the coming days, right, whether being bullish or whatever the case, they are the ones that move the market. So our goal should be to follow their lead. It is as simple as that. When they are buying, we should buy. And when they sell, we should sell. So let me write it down in our chat box so that everyone who is paying attention and who is not paying attention, I want to make sure that I can provide it to everyone. All right. So we need to follow their lead, right? What do you mean by we need to follow their lead? So when they buy, I'm talking of they. So who is they? They are the major shareholders or the institutions or the institutions, the major holders, and who else? We had talked about those points, right? Who else? So they buy, we buy. Let me finish this first and then I will tell you. And when they sell, we sell. All right. Let me just finish typing. So when they buy, we buy. And when they sell, we sell. So I've been talking about large investors, institutions, and major shareholders. whatever they are doing in the market, we need to be aware of what is their plan of action, what are they intending to do in the coming days, right? And how we can capitalize significantly based on compounded growth just by following them. All right, if you are understanding, please do let me know in the chat box how well have you been understanding and how well you are able to grasp the information that I'm sharing. All right, so how do the major shareholders make money in the markets? Anyone who wants to answer this? So how many are aware of how do the major shareholders make money in the stock market? If you know the answers, please let me know in the comment section below. So people are saying we do not know or we know. So how they make money is they make money by profiting from valuation differences, right? Between inside and outside the stock market. Now, what do you mean by this particular statement? They make money based on the price differences of the stock. If they already are aware that a merger is going to take place or that an acquisition of a company is going to take place, they already are aware that if they do the acquisition or the mergers or either of the two, the probability of the stock prices to rise sharply will be very high, and that is how they will be making majority of their money. So the best assets are so in India are sold at high prices through the stock market, just like our weighted stocks. So it is only by the method of stock selection and mergers and acquisitions that people can attain significant compounded growth. So moving forward, how companies, right, especially when companies that are being listed, they undergo reorganization and large listed companies acquire small companies. This is the basic functionality of how a merger or how a company is acquired, right? Acquisition, mergers and acquisition, how companies are merged together based on similar interests, and how companies are acquired by other companies for their own beneficial purposes, right? Plus there are also going to be foreign owned institutions, security firms controlling banks, which are also very largely responsible for for mergers and acquisitions. We have many foreign institutional financial banks, financial service companies like Morgan Stanley, Deutsche Bank, Citibank, Barclays, and the list goes on. They are also quite responsible, right? So you have to understand that it's going to be mergers and acquisitions along with liquidity that can significantly drive prices up. In on one part, we have the mergers and acquisitions, whether it is company related, but it also boils down to liquidity. So banks, financial institutions who have the funds to make prices move when they combine together or when they join forces, that can significantly drive up the stock market, right? How many of you are understanding this particular concept? If you are understanding, it would be lovely for all of you to write down in the chat box and let me know your answers. All right. Let me give you an example, right? For example, if a company is going to get delisted, right? It has happened quite a lot in the past, and it is very important to pay attention to this slide. If the stock is of a particular company is about to be delisted, right? Certain times when stocks are not performing well or are getting undervalued, there is a high chance for a stock to be delisted, right? Because at the end, why will a particular market such as NSE or BSE put a stock in the stock market if it's not performing well? I hope you're understanding my point, right? So, but think about it. If a company is about to be delisted, but it is still on the broker's list, there are very high chances that it can be listed again or it can be acquired by another company. This is a true fact. So when people are thinking that certain stocks are getting devalued significantly or that there is a possibility for a stock to get wiped out from the stock market, the tendency for such situations or scenarios to occur is quite less. Yes, it is possible, but very less. Why? Because if the stock prices of a particular company is being reduced drastically, people are being able to buy that company at a much discounted rate, right? How many of you are understanding that? If a company's value is being depreciating quite well, and since it has been listed on the stock exchange, I am very sure that there are other big companies who would want to acquire them, or there might be other companies who would want to merge with them so that they can expand their businesses, expand their market share, and eventually make profits. How many of you are understanding the point that I have just discussed? If yes, let me know in the comments section below. So generally, the acquiring companies are going to be at the forefront, right, of their industries with large capital volumes. Whenever there is a major market player who has the tendency to have sorry, who has the tendency to have a monopolistic nature in the market, they will always be in the process of either acquiring or either merging, right? Mainly pertaining to acquiring, right? Because mergers take place between two equal companies or two similar companies that are not much different. But when it comes to the companies that are acquiring, they will generally be at the forefront of their industries, right? Whether it's in terms of market share or liquidity, they will always be in the front, right? Because they want to maintain monopolistic nature in the markets. How many of you are understanding this point? It is very vital to understand how we are able to connect the dots, right? In one point At one point we are talking about where if a company's value is being delisted because of non-performance or reduction in performance or whatever the reason, if a company that is at the forefront of that industry, they will always look for scenarios where they can acquire smaller companies. Why? So that in first they can reduce the market competition, and second they can acquire the company's resources, tools, management, intellectual capabilities of its employees and managers, and utilize it for its own benefits, right? It is how the markets have been working, and that is how the markets will keep functioning even in the future, right? So I hope people are understanding. I hope people are paying attention to. Yes, it might sound a little overcomplicated or complex, but you don't have to worry, right? Just start to think from a different perspective, because that is what is most important. If you are going to be doing what other people have been doing, and if you have been doing the things that you have been doing previously and not attaining success, how will you achieve success in the coming future? It's not going to be possible. So the only way to change the future is to change your actions today, right? Change the way you think, change the way you behave, change the way that you would normally think, because these changes will eventually change the outcomes, right, of your work and your actions, and that will eventually have a different probability of a particular perception of a particular future that you perceive for yourselves, right? Yes, it might sound a little bit overwhelming, but psychologically talking, it does have a huge impact. All right. So let us summarize in terms of what we have been talking. You have to understand that the essence of finding a stock is finding the price difference, right? No matter what information is being provided to you, it always and always will be boiling down to finding out the differences in the price movement, because that is where the majority of the money will be made when it comes to stock trading. All right, how many of you are agreeing with me? If yes, let me know in the comment section below. All right, we need to understand that if the market is overall oscillating upwards, and if the index is also being well or performing well in terms of having strong bullish sentiment, you need to start looking for financial sector. This is a very important tip for those of you who have been staying till this live streaming session, right? You need to understand that when it comes to getting advantage over the remaining investors, remaining traders, you have to be aware of certain data that is not being disclosed to people. And this is one of them, right? If you are seeing that the overall market conditions are oscillating towards the upside, right? What do you mean by oscillating towards the upside? Anyone? Let me know your answers in the comment box below. So oscillating upwards mean if they are being bullish, if they are trending towards the upward direction, or if they are in a bull trend, and if the index is also bullish, and that is in terms of it's performing well, you have to look for financial stocks. Could anyone know why it is important to look for financial stocks when such a scenario is taking place, where the market is also bullish and the index is also bullish? Anyone? It's always going to be the financial stocks who would be appreciating in value, because they are the ones who will be getting appreciated in terms of price movement. Always understand, if the markets are bullish and if the index is bullish, keep a close eye on the financial sector, because that will be the one that will be having the most and the first significant differences that will be shown on the price charts, right? How many of you understand, and how many of you think that yes, this is something new that has been disclosed when no one else has been talking about these things? Harsh from Dolphin Markets has been providing you with the necessary information, right? So if you think you have learned something new, and if you think that a very important and crucial piece of information has been shared, let me know your comments in the chat box below. So in a bull market, it's always going to be the financials, right? The financial stocks are going to be the first ones that will be rising in price whenever you have the synchronicity between the markets and the index. All right. Now, what will happen on the opposite side? On the contrary, what will be the contrary effect if the markets are declining? Then we need to look at other industries, right? So, which industries we need to start looking if the index is declining? Anyone who can let me know the answers in the chat box? Rocky is writing yes, correct, very valuable. Thank you, Rocky. Yes, I'm sure that you are gaining a lot of knowledge and information from such content, because very few people are willing to talk about the underlying factors that are responsible for movement of price, right? I'm sure everyone is aware of technicalities, of fundamentals, but what is the underlying factors, right? Who is responsible for the market movement? Who are the major players? How they think, how they act, and what they do in the markets that makes them the money. If they are able to make money, everyone can be making money. All you have to do is follow them, right? As you can see in the comment section below, two important points I have mentioned, right? One is the major shareholders, that has been the entire topic that we have been talking about. And secondly is we should be following them. Whenever they decide to buy, we should buy. And when they decide to close positions by selling, we should do the same. How many are understanding? If yes, please let me know your comments and your reactions in the chat box below. Sorry, everyone. I'm sure everyone is aware that my voice has been quite low today. I've been coughing, but I want to still make sure that I can provide all my viewers and our community members with vital information that can make them successful, right? I want to see all my viewers making money and gaining knowledge, because that is my ultimate objective for all of you, right? So moving forward, what do you feel? If the index is slowing down, then what we should do? We need to start looking at other industries, right? So the industry with the most capital inflow is the one that we should focus on. It is as simple as that. It is very straightforward that we have to start looking for where is the capital or volume in terms of liquidity that is starting to accumulate when we are talking about listed companies on the stock exchange, right? Now, how will you find out where is the capital flowing in that particular listed stock? Anyone who has the answer? Where would you expect, or how would you expect? Let me know the answer. So for that, you have to be aware of what are the policy directions that are taking place for that particular listed company, right? Because policy reforms or policy reformations or mergers and acquisitions are the only two ways that can induce a huge significant movements when it comes to the stock prices, right? So we have to be aware of the direction or the capital inflow. Where is the capital being flowed to in terms of, based on whether it's coming from the foreign institutions, whether it's coming from the banks, or whether it's coming from the major shareholders, right? And you need to understand in terms of the policies that are enacting in the direction of the growth of that particular stock, right? I hope people are understanding. You just have to pay attention to it, and the more number of times you watch this particular live stream session, every time you rewatch it, you will start to get more knowledge. You will start to have a different perspective in terms of thinking that yes, this is something that we haven't been talked about or informed about, and yes, it makes sense now that how we can try to connect as many dots as possible that can help us in getting more advantages, right, when it comes to making money in the stock market. So you have to understand that money market is hot money, right? Market money is hot money, and the industry choices should follow the policy trends. It is as simple as that. When the policies are implemented, whether by the government or whether by the major shareholders of a particular company, whether it could be based on mergers or acquisitions or whatever be it, the tendency for the markets to rise significantly generally occurs after such instances, right? Let me give you an example that has recently taken place, right? Just based in the month of October, as you can see on your screens, the capital had flown into the manufacturing industry, right? And so the stock prices of the manufacturing companies had performed well throughout the month. Anyone who can give me an example of a manufacturing company, let me provide it myself. If you can go to your charts and look at IP rings, remember we are talking about the manufacturing industry, right? Please do not get confused between sector and industry, right? There is a huge difference between sector and industry. Now, when it comes to manufacturing, you have many companies that are manufacturing, right? Whether it is into auto, whether it is into telecommunication, whether it is into aviation, whether it is into oil and gas. So any company that is manufacturing will always come under the manufacturing industry. So I've given you the example of IP rings. Go back in the month of October this year, and you will see that the flow of capital had been towards the manufacturing industry, and a company like IP rings, who is coming under the who's coming under the manufacturing industry, has gained quite significantly during the month of October, right? So that is how we try to connect the dots and try to analyze, all right, where are the capital inflows taking place? How we will be knowing about the capital inflows? Through policies, right? Updates in the policies, policy upgradations that are taking place based on news events and so on. Now, moving on, how do we select a stock, right? Anyone who could let me know how we select an individual stock? Now, there are conditions in the market, as you are aware of. Isn't the market declining or has been declining since the mid of or since the end of August, right? Or starting of September, the markets have corrected by almost 11.5%, right? I'm talking about the indices, which is Sensex and Nifty. Based on the two indices that I'm talking about, I'm sure every one of you are aware, right? How many of you are aware that yes, there has been a major correction that has taken place in the stock market? So when such a scenario takes place, in terms of analyzing how to figure out the stock, for example, if the market is falling by 20%, right? Now 20% might sound huge, but yes, it might be possible. We start to look for stocks or we start to choose those stocks that are much reduced in price, right? Almost by 60 to 70%. How many of you are understanding this particular concept? If the index is not performing well, or if the overall market is correcting by a significant factor, we need to start looking for those stocks which are already getting undervalued, because the only thing that is constant in the stock market is volatility. How many of you understand what is volatility? So volatility is based on, what is volatility? Movement of price, correct? Now what is volatility based on? Anyone who would want to answer me in the chat box, let me know the answers. So volatility is factored because of supply and demand, right? When there is demand in the stock, the price rises. When there is more supply of a stock, the price falls down. What is or who are the factors, or what is the ultimate or underlying reason for the price movement based on supply and demand? Any one of you who could let me know in the comment section below, it would be great. So the factors that are, or the underlying factors for the price fluctuations based on supply and demand, is because of fluctuations in people's behavior, human emotions, whether it is greed or fear. So people have to understand that if the markets are correcting, and if you have come across a stock that has been significantly declining, there is a very, very, very high chance for that stock, either for that company to be either acquired by another major player, or to be merged with another company, so that the price that is being offered can be used as an advantage by the major shareholders to gain positions in the market, so that they can benefit on the price action. How many of you are understanding? If you are understanding, it would be lovely for all of you to let me know in the comments section below. They have to rebound no matter what, because maybe by they might get relisted with another name, or they might be acquired by a huge company, right? Nonetheless, the prices of that stock will eventually rise, because that is what the nature of the stock market is. How many of you are agreeing with what I'm saying? If yes, please let me know your comment in the chat box below. So, investing in stocks is not at all difficult, right? It can be simple. It depends on whether you have a trading style that suits you, right? That suits your objective of you. So, you have to be aware whether you want to make trading or investing simple or hard. It always boils down to your decisions. Now, how you work on your decisions basically comprises of what is going to be your trading style, right? Whether you know how to trade, whether you don't know how to trade, whether you need a mentor, whether you need an alliance with someone else, you have to figure out yourself, because only you know what is best for you, right? It is all a matter of probability and mindset, and the probability and mindset can definitely make a huge difference, especially when it comes to attaining success in the financial markets. If you are agreeing with me, please let me know in the chat box below, because your answers are going to be very valuable for me. All right, so I hope everyone, yes, it's been quite a long journey and quite exhausting as well in terms of providing you with content. But start to think about it, after the session or whenever you get time during the weekend, how capable that, or how interestingly that very few of us are aware of such terminologies, whether trading logic, whether mergers and acquisitions, whether risk management, how everyone is so narrow minded when it comes to acquiring knowledge, that people forget to start thinking outside the box, right? And that is exactly what Harsh from Dolphin Markets is here to provide you. Not just learning opportunities, but earning opportunities as well. I'm like, you should be fortunate enough to have our sessions being provided to you, because we are providing you high value content, right? Content in terms of market analysis, hot stock recommendations when the stock market is up and running, as well as education. So I hope everyone has had a great learning session for today. I'm really happy for all of you who have stuck till the end of this live stream session, because that shows your dedication towards improving your life. That shows the dedication that you want to get better either in your life in terms of making money or acquiring knowledge. So, for all of you who have stayed till the end of the session, a huge round of applause for everyone, and a tap on the back to show that yes, it is a pleasure for you to be a part of these sessions, so that I am also happy in terms of providing you with information, and I'm happy to know that people are gaining knowledge. So, everyone, it's been a pleasure for all of you to be on board for this live stream session. We talked about mergers, acquisitions, and how it is affected or what is the effect that it has on listed companies, and how there are certain scenarios that have been discussed, whether the markets are appreciating and the index is appreciating, then which stocks or which industries will be appreciating predominantly, or when the stock market is declining and there are stocks that are being highly undervalued by 60 or 70%, how you can take opportunities in those stocks that can make you money, and not just money, but that can grow your account, right? It's called as compound growth, not just growing in terms of a few decimals, right, but in terms of units, or in terms of multiplying the accounts. It is very much possible, right? So I hope everyone has got a good amount of information. Yes, I do know that we are coming to the end of our session, and people are very much excited for the upcoming weekend. But once again, I would love to thank each and every one of you that you have worked so well, that you have stayed till the end of the session, because you have the dedication and the fire to work hard and achieve what you desire in life. So, hope everyone has a great weekend. It was an honor for me to provide you with this vital information. Make sure to arrive back for my first live streaming session on Monday, where we would be looking at what the stock market is doing, how the markets are reacting, and if we do come across a hot stock recommendation, I will definitely provide it to you. So, until then, happy weekend, have a great time, and I'll see you in the next week. Until then, namaste and take care. Bye bye.